Welcome to the Comic Sauce Podcast, where we talk comics and comics culture. I am Henry Liu, and today I'm joined by Porfirio Rangel. Porfirio, how's it going?
It's going good, Henry. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. I'm also joined by Christian Diadamo. Christian, how's it going?
Hey, hey, doing well. Happy holidays, everyone.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, it's the holiday season. It's the end of the year. Can you believe it?
Woo, we made it.
We made it. We're still alive.
For
Barely
now. For now.
for now. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's December 19th, 2024. Indeed, the end of the year. And like we do normally at this time of year, it's year in review time. So we're going to talk about all of our favorite and least favorite movies and TV shows of the year. We're also going to talk about comics we enjoyed reading this year. So let's just dive right in, yeah? So let's start with movie highlights. What were some of the best movies of 2024? Let's start with Christian. What do you got?
Yeah. All right, I'll start us off. This isn't one we have talked about on an episode before, but one that I really liked, really liked. Inside Out 2. I'm a
Mm,
big
mm.
Pixar fan, and I gotta say, I think like this is the best Pixar movie I've seen in quite a long time. Definitely post-pandemic. Uh, Best Pixar movie, and I don't think Pixar, like, has been slouching during this time. I think there were some really great Pixar movies that have come out recently, but Inside Out 2, I think, really takes the cake. I think it follows up Inside Out 1 really well. I thought, the way they show Riley kind of age up and how she kinda deals with, you know, different schools and new friends and hockey and tries to navigate teenage life is super relatable, and like and how it's how you kind of see it within her mind and how they bring on anxiety as this kind of like, I almost don't want to say antagonist, but kind of this new foil for a lot of the old emotions. uh I thought like it follows everything up in a very natural way, so I really loved Inside Out 2.
Ditto
Excellent.
ditto what Christian said. Like Inside Out 2 was really great. Like, you know, it's not surprising, Christian, that this one was your top because I think it is the number one box office film this year. It made over $1 billion worldwide. And yeah, the movie was just a really great way of like talking about emotions and puberty and that character anxiety, you kind of it really just helps break down like what you're feeling and how to feel it and process it. It's so educational, not just for kids, but I think for anyone who deals with those kinds of anxiety emotions and stuff about growing up. So it's a really cute and awesome storyline.
Great pick. I have not seen Inside Out 2, but from the glowing recommendation here, I will try to check it out. So we're gonna keep things moving here. We have a lot to cover, yeah. Porfirio, why don't you throw one out? What was one of your favorites of the year movie-wise?
So a kind of I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did, but we haven't talked about this one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's
Mm,
the fourth movie of the Planet of the Apes franchise. Um, and it doesn't have Caesar, who is the main character in the first three movies. He's already got long gone. And this movie was just kind of, I mean, I love the Planet of the Apes franchise. It's just they're all really great, but this one, like, I guess talks more about like um what led to the downfall of humans, which is like nuclear weaponry and the just self-destruction among the human race. And then apes want to get a piece of that because they want to, they're very territorial and just want to be like that lust of power. And then there's like a human who's like, no, we don't want to go two steps backwards. So it's a really great movie to check out.
Excellent. All right. I'll throw one out here. So in 2024, my interest in anime continued on, and I wanted to shout out the show Spy Family. So we're not going to TV yet, but just FYI, I did watch all of Spy Family this year, so I'm all caught up with the first 2 seasons. And I just saw the Spy Family movie. I saw it yesterday, Spy Family Code White, and highly enjoyed it. And I'm gonna put it on my list of favorites of the year. Yeah, this is a really good one. If you're a fan of the show, you will enjoy this movie immensely. It basically has all the appeal of the show. You get everything you want, essentially. You get the cute stuff from Anya. You get the spy espionage stuff from Lloyd. You get some badass action scenes from Yor, and all the sub characters are featured as well. So, very entertaining. Yeah, just like the show, you kind of get it all with Spy Family. The movie, where it's like it's funny, it's very funny. That's probably the main appeal of Spy Family. It's just a really funny property. But you also get some pretty strong emotional beats, and you get action, and you get kind of this irreverence. And it really is just one of these things that you just get everything. It's the whole 9 yards. Yeah. So highly recommend the Spy Family movie. Let's keep going. What else we got, Christian?
Yeah, all right. I got another one. Let's see. I'll go with another one we haven't talked about on the show yet. And that will be Furiosa,
Mm.
the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. Um, Also really love this movie. I think that it was a really, really great follow-up to Fury Road. Unfortunately, this movie bombed pretty hard at the box office, which is really too bad to see. I think there's a lot of really great stunt work on display, a lot of great practical effects, and I think Chris Hemsworth really eats it up as the villain in this movie. I think he is always he's really a lot of fun to watch, but also very, very despicable, and you really can't wait to see him get his. Um, and I think like this is like a really, really nice like two makes it really works with Fury Road in a two-part way. I was a really big fan of Fury Road, and so I'm really happy to see this. So I hope this movie has some legs. I hope it gets some good, a lot of good views on streaming, Blu-ray sales, and I think this will be a cult classic. So do highly recommend Furiosa.
I guess we should note that this year, uh, there wasn't a ton of content, right? Because Hollywood was affected by the writer and actor strikes. So that limited the content that we got. So I think, I mean, compared to last year and next year, it's just less stuff, right? Still quite a bit though. Like if you look historically, there's still quite a bit of content. So we'll have plenty to talk about today. let's keep it rolling. Any other movies you want to shout out here, Porfirio?
Yeah, sure. I think you recommended this one, Henry, and I actually did watch it, Hot Frosty on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you actually watched Hot Frosty.
Well, for
I
the record, I didn't recommend it. I just mentioned it.
did you recommend it? I feel like you recommended it.
Oh, maybe you read it that way, but for the record, I did it. I didn't, and I'm not knocking it. I never watched it in its entirety. I just caught some of it and kind of
I
got a chuckle out of it.
well, I would recommend it,
Okay.
but you cannot watch this sober. Have
Okay.
you have to have a few drinks in you because yeah, this movie is so stupid, but stupid in like the best, kindest holiday warm movies. Like
Hmm.
it's I mean the title speaks for itself of what the plot is. It's a Frosty the Snowman that turns into a hot guy. And
That's all you
it's
need to know, really, right?
it basically, yeah. And it's such a stupid movie, but y- again, you have to have a few drinks in you, and it's just a good like laugh movie that you need during the holidays, you know? Like, you know, there are times where a good sad movie hits the feels and we could be in our emotions, but there are just some times where we just need to laugh over something stupid, and especially during the holidays. And I think this one just hit all the right marks, you know, about like family and humor and stupidity. And I think that's what I needed, Henry. So I remember when you quote unquote recommended it to me. I couldn't get out of my mind, so I like yeah, like randomly put it on, and it was just it lightened my spirits and it helped you know, with the holiday season. Be in the holiday mood, if you can say.
Ah, very good. Very good.
So Christian, watch it.
I'll bring my family around all to get
There we
together
go.
around the fireplace and watch
There
Hot
we go.
Frosty.
I guess we should mention that we are a fandom-oriented podcast, but for our year in review, historically, we have brought up non-fandom shows and movies, and this would be in that category. Hot Frosty is not like a Comic-Con type movie, right?
Not
But yeah,
yet.
that's fine. Not yet. We'll see. So along that vein, maybe I'll bring up a non-fandom type movie. Debatable though, perhaps. Maxine. Maxine with three
Mm.
X's.
Hmm.
The third of the X trilogy with Mia Goth. And yeah, unlike Spy Family, which I saw at home, I did see Maxine in the theaters and highly, highly enjoyed it. It really turned me on to the trilogy. I watched Maxine and then I had to watch the first two, so I watched them out of order. But I do recommend the whole X trilogy and in particular Maxine. Uh, it's a wild, pretty nuts movie. The whole trilogy is pretty extreme. It's like a lot of sex and violence. There's horror. There are thrillers as well. Nudity and just a lot of extreme shit going down. So
All the good stuff.
yeah, the good stuff. But you know, I would say um, Maxine is pretty well made. You know, it's a well made film. It's a period piece and it's well acted and well directed and just fun. It's kind of a fun, bloody, sexy time, and I highly recommend. And yeah, after seeing Maxine, I became very obsessed with Mia Goth. So not only did I have to watch the rest of the X trilogy, I ended up watching like other movies she's done, and yeah, she's awesome. So she's definitely an actress I'm keeping my eye on moving forward. But I think Maxine is like her best role to date. So highly recommend that one. All right. So We can keep talking about movie highlights, but if we haven't mentioned it already, maybe we should start bringing up our most favorite movies. Yeah. Do we have a most favorite? And have we named them yet? I haven't named mine yet. Have you guys?
I
I
haven't.
I have,
You
so
have? Oh,
I
which
can
is yours,
start.
Christian?
So, this is one we haven't talked about today, but we have talked. Did an entire podcast about it.
Can I
Um,
guess?
sure.
Joker 2. No, I'm just
Ah.
kidding.
You
No,
kid.
no.
Oh, how did you know? Follow the dude.
What
Is
is it,
it Dune
Christian?
Part 2?
Oh yes. Oh
Ah,
man, Dune Part 2. I love this movie. Um, and I think this I don't I'm a real big fan of the director, Denis Villeneuve. Um, I wouldn't say this is my favorite movie that he's done, but I do think as of now, this is kind of his magnum opus. This is his largest movie. It's his biggest hit. This is like the kind that I think really has explode. This movie has kind of exploded, and I think is on. I see it on a big list for a lot of people's like favorite movie of the year. It's up there, I think, for a lot of people. It's massive. It looks amazing. You have some really solid performances, some really great action, and I think the way this follows up the last movie is awesome. I'm really glad I got to see this one in theaters because I did not see Dune Part 1 in theaters because of it was during the big pandemic. So my favorite movie of the year is Dune Part 2. Although Inside Out 2 is a pretty big runner up for me.
all right. There you have it. Christian's pick. You want to give yours, Porfirio?
I can, unless you guys want to try to guess what mine is.
Hmm,
Hmm.
let's see.
I might guess Alien Romulus.
Yes.
Ah,
Hey,
okay.
Henry knows me well. No,
not
yeah.
Joker?
Not Joker. It's up there, but no. Um, no, yeah, like I remember, yeah, when I first saw it, I think I recommended it to both of you guys. I was like, this movie is so good. And then yeah, as I was creating my list for tonight's podcast, I realized that yeah, Alien Romulus was probably my favorite movie of the year. You know, I love a good horror movie. I love the Alien franchise. That's why I suggested we do the Alien Predator movie for our Halloween episode. But Alien Romulus is such a great sci-fi movie that just has horror elements, and it just goes back to that basics of the OG Alien movie of just like being scary but not relying on like jump scares too much. It's just the like it's a good thriller movie that focuses on like the horror of like the unknown and the tension and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have a lot of action, so it's not like a like like an Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection movie of just like a bunch of xenomorphs and soldiers like guns a-blazing and all that stuff. Like again, this movie just goes back to the basic of how to scare the audience, and that's what I appreciated, and it was entertaining. It went more about like the science behind the xenomorph, which I thought was pretty cool, and it gave just really good like honor homage to all the previous Alien movies throughout the franchise. So it was, yeah, my favorite of the year.
Ooh, yeah, good pick. I
Yeah,
do
good
think it's
pick.
it's probably like for me, I think it's like the best Alien movie that isn't the first two, you know?
Exactly, right?
Yeah, and I'm with you. This is one of my favorites of the year as well. And thank you for the recommendation, Porfirio. You did recommend it to me. And yeah, there's a cool like back to basics vibe to it, right? I think with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, there was this like real serious tone to those movies and like you kind of got this thing where watching those movies, you ponder like philosophical
Mm-hmm.
deep thoughts and stuff. But this is really just like visceral fun, scares and thrills and just alien action and alien like um creepiness and just like yeah, a real back to basics and a movie that it does have some social commentary for sure, but it's not like a deep thought-provoking experience. It's more of a fun movie, right? And
Mm-hmm.
on that front, it like really delivers for sure. Okay, let me shout out a few, but to lead up to my favorite, um, Deadpool and Wolverine. This was a big release mid-year. It was MCU's only movie, and I think it had some. Or had a lot of anticipation, had a lot riding on it, and it was a big hit. A lot of people went to see this movie. A lot of people bought popcorn buckets for this movie, and it was a bona fide phenomenon. And it lived up to the hype too. It's a really fun movie. I can't say that it's a movie I'm interested in watching over and over again. I have just seen it the one time, but that was a great time at the movies for sure. It's funny, it's got great action and great violence. And yeah, it does deliver. It does deliver on its promise, basically. Yeah.
Henry, before we continue with your list,
Hmm.
because you brought up the popcorn bucket,
Yeah.
um, do you guys have a favorite popcorn bucket of the year?
I mean, Dune 2 started it off, right? Started off the phenomenon. So I think he kind of got a tipper cap to the Dune popcorn bucket, right? Because that sort of kicked off the whole craze.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Christian?
I I think the Gladiator one I always thought was really cool. How it was like the stadium
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
like
yeah.
you could like watch something in your popcorn bucket. There was like an AR thing where you don't even have to watch the movie to watch the movie. It's right there in your bucket.
It's the palm of your or on your lap, you know,
I don't even need to lift your head to watch
right?
the movie. All right there.
It's all right there. Uh-huh.
I
Okay,
did enjoy that one.
go ahead, Henry. Continue.
All right. Well, what about your favorite popcorn bucket
Uh,
material?
my favorite, like you, Henry, you gotta go back to the OG that started it all, the Dune bucket.
There you
You
go.
know, I waited in line for that Dune bucket, and it was a long line. So there we go. That's probably my pick. It's still, in case you guys are both still wondering, it's still in its wrapping paper. You know,
Ah, yep. Mint
The
mint
collector.
condition.
with tags.
Gotta
Uh-huh.
get it graded by the CBC.
Right?
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, just a couple more here on my end. Um, the most fun I had at the movies this year. Uh, Interstellar 5555. Now,
Mm,
technically, this movie is a 2003 release, but 2024 saw a remastered theatrical version of this movie. So I'm counting it as a 2024 release. I saw it in the theaters and had the best time. I mean, it was crazy. Like, the, the experience I had is almost indescribable because it was like this cool combination of watching a really awesome anime film and being at a really awesome EDM concert. Like that's kind of the closest thing I can think of in terms of experience. But even then, like I don't think that really does it justice. Just a lot of fun. The crowd was great. Like there were people dancing in their seats. There were people singing along to the songs. and the movie looks amazing. Like, I didn't see it. I didn't see like the original release, but this remastered version is super sharp, and it looks like it was. I mean, it looks like it's a 2024 release. It looks that good, and just visually, it's awesome. But then you throw in like an entire classic Daft Punk album, and the music is awesome. So like you're just hit with this audio and video extravaganza. So I had a blast watching this movie. So I'm putting it on the list as well. Um, so yeah, like I said, it's a 2003 movie, and it's a short movie. It's like 65 minutes. So it's like kind of it's almost like just like a special honorable mention in a way, because it's hard for me to say like this is a real quote unquote real movie. But I had so much fun watching it. I have to include it on the list. And the next movie, it's kind of a technicality also, because technically Godzilla minus one is a 2023 release. But similar to Interstellar, 2024 saw a theatrical release for this movie for a different version. This was the decolorized version. And if you want to hear more about it, I just talked about this movie in our last episode. So check out our Godzilla 70th anniversary episode to hear all about it. But I love this movie. And um, yeah, I guess I'll have to say essentially is that last year I kind of did a cop out where I announced my favorite movie of the year as a tie, right? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Godzilla minus one. And almost in a move to just give Godzilla minus one its due, I'm declaring Godzilla minus one, the decolorized version, as being my movie of the year. So I love it. I love this movie. Uh, listen to that last episode for all the reasons why. But this is an awesome movie. And it's really cool that they released this movie, re-released it on the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. So this year was truly a celebration of Godzilla. And yeah, thank God for this movie, you know? Like it'd be kind of sad if they hit the 70th anniversary and had a really shitty Godzilla movie. Oh wait, they actually kind of did with Godzilla X Kong, right? But we don't need to talk about that. Right now, it's all about Godzilla minus one, my movie of the year. All right. So we listed our favorites. Before we go off of the movie highlights, are there any movies that we didn't mention that you want to give a shout out to right now? Any other favorites you want to mention?
Ooh.
Oh, okay, this one was a sleeper hit for me. Um, I don't know if you guys have heard this one, Late Night with the Devil.
Mm-mm.
No, I haven't actually.
So yeah, this one's like a really like low budget movie. I can never see the guy's name, but the guy who plays like Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad
Oh yeah,
movie.
I know who you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh. So
I
he's
don't
in
remember
it.
his name.
And so this movie, it's kind of like it's done like found footage style. So,
Hmm.
you know, the camera moves around and everything. And the guy, he's like a the actor, I know his first name's David. I just cannot say his last name. He he has a show, a late night talk show, like the Tonight Show, like one of those things. And he plans on performing in Exorcism on live TV. What can go wrong? You know, with in front of a live audience and all that stuff. What can go wrong? So it yeah, it didn't get like a lot of buzz, but it is pretty good. I think you could watch it on Hulu right now. Um, and it's like I said, it's a good sleeper hit movie.
Nice
And Chris,
pick.
and Krisha, yeah, there's no jump scare, so you could
Oh, well,
maybe watch this.
maybe.
All right. So we can certainly talk more movies if we so desire later on. But why don't we move on to television? What were our favorite shows of 2024? Porfirio, you want to start here?
Sure. So one of my favorites was unfortunately a show that canceled this year, one and only season, Dead Boy Detectives. And that is based on the DC Comics in the Sandman universe. It is on Netflix, and the plot is two dead boys, that are paranormal investigators, and nothing makes sense in the TV show. Don't even try to make sense of it. Just enjoy and have fun, and it is just super funny, interesting, serious, emotional, all the above emotions. It's a really cute movie. And unfortunately, like I said, only one season. It got canceled after like a few months. But it is so good. It's disappointing that Netflix did that, but I do highly recommend it to both of you guys to go check it out.
All right. I like how we're getting some deeper cut choices here. Good pick, Porfirio. What about you, Christian?
All
What is
right.
one of your favorites here?
I'm gonna say something that is very much not a deep cut. It's been pretty popular with the awards this year. And that show is Fallout. Uh,
Mm,
Mm,
yeah, the big
yeah.
video game adaptation show of the year, picking up the torch from The Last of Us.
mm-hmm,
And I think this show is great. I'm not the biggest Fallout fan, but I did really like Fallout 3. And I think it really captures that feel of going around the wasteland. You got the vaults. It captures the world really, really well, and it tells
mm-hmm,
a really good story with it. I thought the main actress Ella Purnell did a really great job as the lead character, as well as Walton Goggins. Um, I thought he was pretty great, and the way they kind of jump between the different characters was great. Um, the sets really, really felt like Fallout. It looked really, really good. Um, This is another show I just really can't praise enough, but I think we've heard a lot about this show. I think this show has been very, very popular. It's been a real big hit, which I'm
mm-hmm.
happy to see. I'm happy to see another really great hit video game show. Definitely something I'm always rooting for.
It's a good show. Even someone who hasn't played the games, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit as well. I think Walton Goggins is particularly awesome in this show, not only as the ghoul, but in flashbacks as Cooper Howard. He's great in like any scene he's in. So good recommendation. All right. Let's see. Okay, speaking of Prime Video, The Boys season 4 dropped this year, and I highly enjoyed it. It's on my list. And you know, nothing terribly groundbreaking, I don't think. The Boys is The Boys, and I think season to season you're pretty much getting the same type of content, but it still delivers. And yeah, there were some moments in season 4 that I was like, I still can't believe I'm seeing some of this stuff, right? Uh, it's a yeah, there's some pretty shocking stuff all throughout the season. there's one episode that I was like, I really was taken aback. So it's episode 2, and it's the bat mitzvah episode, and there is a lot of crazy shit that happens in this episode. Um, I think first and foremost is the human centipede scene,
Oh my God.
with the multiplying guy. Yeah. Yeah, this show is completely bonkers, and I kind of love the fact that it really doesn't give a fuck. It just does its thing, and it's not afraid to offend. And the result is a very entertaining show. It's very funny, and great characters. Yeah, the characters are great, both on with the boys, the good guys of the show, and um, the bad guys, Homelander and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, I recommend season 4 of The Boys. What else? Porfirio?
Yeah, so one of my favorites this year came from right at the beginning of the year is Has Been Hotel on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend it to both of you guys, but I know you all not musical fans. But it is so funny. Like the humor is so crude and it just it's kind of like a middle finger to your face and everything about like being good, and the music is just so raunchy and stupid, and I really enjoyed this show. I dressed up as one of the characters for WonderCon. Um and I recommend this one. It's a really fun show.
Excellent. What else we got, Christian?
All right. Um, yeah, I will say there's been a lot of really great animation this year. Um, like animation, definitely like I'm a really big fan of, and I think this knocked out of the park this year. There's definitely a lot to choose from. Um, and so let me talk about my favorite anime of the year. This one is a little hard to find on most streaming services. So I don't think you guys have watched this, but I'm really a big fan of the show. It's called Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I think it's far and away one of the best anime I've seen recently. Um, and the premise is really interesting. I think the it's about like kind of your Dungeons and Dragons D&D type party, but it's what happens after they defeat the big bad. They save the world, the Demon King is destroyed, and the party disbands. And the show follows an elf, and as we know about elves, they live forever. They don't age. And the elf comes back 50 years later to see her party is all kind of about, they're all old and they're about to die. And as she kind of goes through her kind of new journey with the kind of proteges of these heroes that she used to to party with, she kind of reflects on her previous journey. So you kind of get two stories at the same time. You kind of have the story in the future where she's kind of off teaching her proteges, kind of mixed in with the little bits of where she visited to 50 years prior. And I think the story is interwoven really, really well. And like I think watching it in my 30s, in a way, even though this is a brand new show, these are characters you haven't seen before. In a way, there's a very nostalgic feeling while watching this. It's a little hard to explain, but in a way, by watching this character reminisce, you kind of also kind of reminisce, say, like on times that you may have had growing up as well. Maybe, friends that you may have been ride or die with, but I really haven't connected with in a long time, or people that you just used to know and kind of like who used to be. So If you can find it, I highly recommend Frieren.
Right. Great pick. All right. So I'll shout out a couple here. Um, this one's not really a fandom show, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith from
Mm,
Prime Video. I highly enjoyed this one. Donald Glover and Maya Erskine are really great in this show. Great spy action and very funny. It's got a lot of laughs, so a great action comedy. Um, and it's a little different too, you know. It has some of the same people working on it as Donald Glover's Atlanta, and that's a very different show, but similar to that show, it's kind of offbeat and different, yeah. So I like that the freshness of the show. It's not really like anything I've seen before. So I do recommend that. And Porfirio, you mentioned a show that was canceled. I got a canceled show on my list as well, The Acolyte. So
mm.
maybe not the most popular choice, generally speaking, for shows of the year, but damn it, I highly enjoyed this one. Um, yeah, I went in with very low expectations. I watched it like well after the fact. I had heard a lot of negativity. So imagine my surprise, really enjoying it beginning to end. I think The Acolyte has some of the best Star Wars action out there, you know, ever, really. Um, uh, but it's not just action, a compelling story, interesting characters, good performances from the actors. So haters can go to hell, man. Like, I'm
That
a fan of The Acolyte.
that's just Star Wars fans, you know, they gotta complain about something.
I guess so.
Always.
Hmm.
That's just how it is, I guess. Yeah, kind of sad we won't see the continuation of Master Saul's story and the Stranger and all these really interesting characters, yeah. But at least we got a full season of The Acolyte, and I'm here to say it's good. From my point of view, it's good. So maybe we can get into our favorites, yeah? So I'm gonna go ahead and give mine. I have a feeling this is on all of our lists to some degree, but X-Men 97.
Mm.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, I mentioned with Deadpool and Wolverine, um, that movie was the only Marvel Studios movie of the year. And yeah, Marvel didn't put out a lot of stuff this year. But I guess Sony stuff aside, Marvel shit was pretty banging, right? Um, Deadpool and Wolverine was good, and X-Men 97 was phenomenal. It was a phenomenon. Everyone was talking about this show. This was a little earlier in the year, so maybe some may have forgotten, but this was like something everyone was talking about at the time, and I think it's a legit great show. Um, Kind of a cool concept, you know, taking a classic 90s cartoon and breathing new life into it, having a similar aesthetic and many of the same voice actors, but at the same time, completely reinventing it. Yeah. Getting new voice actors and taking a show that kind of hinted at certain social issues of the time and really bringing that to the forefront and making it a very strong message oriented show, right? Something that sparked many a conversation, you know, ourselves not excluded. We did a full episode on this show, so check that out. But yeah, it bears repeating. X-Men 97 is great.
Oh yeah.
I'm giving it my best TV show of the year recognition.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh
Solid
yeah.
pick. I loved it. And I really didn't watch X-Men growing up either.
Yeah, that me neither. So I think people who didn't watch it took away a lot from the show. People who did watch it in the 90s, like Porfirio, took away a lot from it. So I had a cool little like universal appeal to it, right? So question, was this either of your guys' favorite show of the year?
It actually was not on mine.
So
I
what was your, okay, sorry, go ahead, Porfirio.
I feel like I know what Christians is. Can I guess?
No. Oh,
You may
I
not.
think you
I
may
know.
not guess. I know, but I think you're gonna guess it right
Okay, go ahead then.
because I think you know my biases. Because I am going with the big DC show this year,
Uh-huh.
and that show is The Penguin.
Yes.
Oh man, this
Mm,
show is top notch. Oh, I think this is like one of the best like superhero shows I've ever seen. I think it really kind of gives that HBO treatment to the superhero show that we like we really haven't seen done. I You did see it kind of with Daredevil, but I think this is I guess this really is on HBO. So I think that and there really isn't any superheroes in this. It's you get the Penguin and I think um but the characters are so good and they're so evil. Like this truly embraces a villain in the Penguin and the people around him. And they're so terrible, they're so awful, and you kind of can't stop watching. It's definitely a bit slower of a burn, but I think the characters are so good. I couldn't look away.
Hmm.
And this is and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I will say this is probably one of the most shocking endings to a
mm.
show I've seen in a while. Like, they're like I was like, at the end, I had to, like, stop for a minute and think, "Oh my god, what did I just watch?" Like, but, I won't say much more than that. So, also really big on the awards cycle right now, and
Hmm.
I'm rooting for this show even
Hmm.
over even over Fallout. So, my pick is The Penguin.
Awesome.
Was that what you were gonna was that your guess, Porfirio?
Yes.
Hey, I
Hey,
knew it.
nailed it. That brings up a good point. We didn't give the spoiler alert, and I think we've been pretty good about not spoiling anything. So let's continue that no spoiler
No spoilers.
review. Yeah. So let's go to your favorite, Porfirio. What was your favorite show of the year?
I feel like you guys can guess what my favorite was. But like Henry, I can't decide, so I'm gonna say it's a tie between X-Men 97 and Agatha All Along.
Mm-hmm.
That was I don't want to get too deep into it because we've had, I said my thoughts on both of those. We did podcasts on both of them. One of them I got to host, because it was my favorite show, so that was a lot of fun. So, listen to my thoughts on that, but just both of them were just a good like nod to everything I love, nerdy, and um, I just had a lot of fun watching
Mm,
both of them.
awesome. Now, if I recall correctly, with both of these shows, you would watch them like the moment they released, right?
Oh yeah, like I
Yeah,
was, I was like already like right there, like waiting, like
yeah.
let's start this.
And you did watch episodes multiple times as well for both, right? Yep,
Yeah, I
yep.
think yeah, 97 definitely watched it twice. And Agatha, I definitely watched it twice. I think I'm watching it a third time now. Um, so yeah, both were really fun and great.
All right. Excellent. Are there any other TV highlights we want to shout out before moving on here?
Yeah, I got a few before we move on to worst. So real
Okay.
quick, um, some of my other favorites this year were Echo. We did a podcast episode of
Mm-hmm.
that at the beginning of the year. Um, I really enjoyed that. I feel like it's kind of forgotten in all the other shows and projects that were released throughout the year, but great representation, great action. Daredevil's in it
Yeah.
for a good 5 minute cameo. Charlie Cox, um, Echo. This other show on Netflix called Gracielda. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, with what's her name? Sofia Vergara.
Um, Sofia Vergara plays a drug lord in Miami based on a true story. She also, speaking of award season, she got nominated for an award for her portrayal in that show. And it's so funny. There was a lot of backlash towards the show because it's, Sofia Vergara, she plays a Colombian drug lord. I think it's a Colombian drug lord, but the majority of the show is in Spanish. And so there were a lot of people complaining that the show was in Spanish. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, what do you expect? Spanish drug lord, Spanish family. Like, what do you expect? I'm sorry.
Right.
They gotta read subtitles.
Right. That's another show, but the last show I definitely enjoyed this year, which was a very, very sleeper hit for me, and I recommended it to Christian that I don't know if he's gonna watch it, but I definitely recommend it to him, was Rings of Power season 2.
Mm.
Mm. Oh
Like
yeah.
I know season 1 was not the best, and it was so hard to get through the first episode because it was super boring and slow, but season 2 really does pick up. Like, it is really good. It gives a lot of ties to like the Lord of the Rings trilogy that we love, and the action is great. Like, you could tell Amazon invested in it, which it did. It paid a pretty good penny for everything. And if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I know it's hard, but get through season 1 because season 2, it really, really great gets going. I don't know how you're gonna take that,
Yeah.
Christian, but
Um,
but
I
season
still
2
gotta
is
get
good.
watch season one on 1.5 speed.
Just watch
Get
one of
this.
those recap videos and then yeah.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, it does look really good. That's on my list. But I also have some. If you're all finished, I also have some shout outs
Go for it.
because there was quite a lot of great TV here. So a few more I do want to shout out would be first one is Invincible season 2
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
uh, on Amazon Prime. Really love season 1 and also really love season 2 as well. Arcane season 2, all probably the best animation I've ever seen. Do highly
mhm,
recommend. Another great anime I loved, another fantasy anime that kind of goes in a bit different direction is Delicious in Dungeon or Dungeon Meshi on Netflix. The way they do dungeon food is it somehow makes it appetizing. So I did really like that. And another big award show that I really loved was Shogun. I thought that was
Mm.
really well done. So all great, and those are my shout outs.
I'm surprised none of us have talked about Shogun earlier, especially how much like awards it was
Yeah.
nominated
Yeah.
and won.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's not necessarily a fandom show. There's that, but a lot of people have talked about that show, no question.
hmm
And it's getting a lot of awards attention,
hmm
no doubt. All right, so it can't all be good, right? So let's move on to some of the lowlights. So I thought we just grouped this together, movies and TV, in no particular order. Were there any movies or TV shows that you were really disappointed with, that you really hated? What do we got? Lowlights of movie and TV 2024. Christian, you want to start us off here?
All right. Okay. Well, this is something that came out that I was super disappointed in. Um, I didn't even think this was like I wouldn't say this is a terrible show, but I think the step down was really disappointing. And that's House of the Dragon season 2.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I really did not like kind of the way it felt like House of the Dragon, I think overall is a bit of a pacing problem. Season 1 moves, I think, a little too fast.
mhm,
It jumps between all these different, there's several time skips throughout the show, and I had a bit of a hard time following it. Season 2 slows down to this crawl, and it feels a lot
Yeah.
like filler.
mhm.
One of the big standout characters, let's see. Oh god, I gotta look up the names because I think one problem with House of the Dragon is all the names sound the same and everyone kind of
Yep.
looks the same with the white hair.
Yep.
So
The
Matt
Targaryens
Smith,
keep it in the family.
yeah, Matt Smith's character,
Yeah. Damon, right?
Daemon, yeah,
Yeah.
Daemon Targaryen, one of the standout characters in season 1. I think it's the worst plot line in this. It does nothing.
Agreed.
Mhm.
And it feels like the show kind of meanders. I think I don't want to get too we said no spoilers, so I don't want to get too spoilery, but it felt like there needed to be a few more episodes to this.
Two.
So no spoilers, but I will just say that it felt like the show was somehow too long and too short at the same time, where it felt like there needed to
Yeah.
be a few more episodes, but also that you watched several episodes of nothing. So,
Yep.
yeah, I was not a fan of House of the Dragon season 2.
I quickly want to just comment really fast because I have that same disappointment. Also, it wasn't like I hated the show. It was just a disappointment. Also, we waited 2 years for House of the Dragon season two, and season one was great. But then season two was just like Christian said, just a big spoil, like filler stuff. Like there were some like crazy moments throughout the show, but and the majority of it just felt like a setup for season three. So it just, yeah, echoing a lot of what Christian said.
Yeah. I agree 100% with both of you guys on this one. Yep. Yep. All right. Other lowlights, Porfirio? Any picks?
Yeah, so, you know, I think this show was maybe in one of my best in its earlier seasons, but this season I have to put it again, not hate, but disappointed, is The Umbrella Academy. It
Hmm.
ended this year, I think was season five, I think. Um, and it was just not good. Season four. It ended with season four. And it just lacked kind of, I guess, the spirit of the the earlier seasons, the season one and two, and it just kind of felt like a mess, and it was just kind of disappointing because again, like I really loved the show in the first season, and I think yeah, we did a whole podcast on it, Henry, and to kind of just see it go from like its glory days to kind of just this, I was just like, well, that sucks. I guess, put put it out of its misery and get rid of it.
Ooh, that feels really bad. I haven't watched Umbrella Academy, but I since I've been hearing chatter about it online, I do gotta ask, is this like Game of Thrones season 8?
Not as bad as Game of Thrones, but in that wheelhouse, yeah.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
fact that it's close is like that's bad enough.
Uh-huh. Did you ever did you ever continue watching it, Henry?
I didn't. No. I just watched the first season, and oh, I did watch the pilot for, or not the pilot, episode 1 of season 2, and then I just was not compelled to continue on.
No.
Okay, let's see. I got a disappointing one. Technically a movie. Watchmen Chapter 1. You guys know that
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of Watchmen, like almost all things Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
I dig the original graphic novel, the Zack Snyder film, which we did do a podcast on earlier this year. Subsequent Watchmen comics, the Watchmen TV series on HBO. Yeah, I love all that stuff. So when I heard they were gonna do an animated version of the original comic series, I was pretty excited. But then I found out that they were doing it as 2 movies, 2 90-ish minute movies. And I was like doing the math a little bit, and it's like, oh, well, that comes out to 3 hours, which just so happens to be the runtime of the director's cut of Zack Snyder's Watchmen, right? So then I wondered, like, oh, if they were gonna do an animated version of the original comic series, why not give it like the full treatment, like a 12 episode animated show, 1 episode for each issue of the original comic series, right? Um, why make it why make it be like about the same runtime as Zack Snyder's movie? And then when I watched it, now chapter 2 hasn't come out yet, so I'm just talking about chapter 1. But so far, it the whole thing seems very unnecessary because I'm really just watching the Snyder film. It's very similar. And we've talked about this before, but Zack Snyder's movie is very faithful to the comics. So this whole exercise is, in my opinion, totally unnecessary. You can read the comics, you can watch the Zack Snyder movie. You really don't need to watch this animated movie. It doesn't really bring much of anything new to the table. Um, it is more faithful to the comics than the Zack Snyder film. But like I was saying, the Zack Snyder film is very faithful to the source material. Um, and ultimately, the whole time I was watching this, I was thinking, this is quite unnecessary. So coming from a big Watchmen fan, this is a big thumbs down for me. So pretty disappointing. Watchmen Chapter 1.
Henry,
Yeah.
real quick, chapter 2 is out already.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it came out in November.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I don't know if that's after your review. I don't know if you want to continue watching it.
Well, I am a completionist, particularly with Watchmen stuff, so I will watch that, but I am not expecting a whole lot. I mean, I know what's coming. I know the animation style, I know the story, and yeah, it's bewildering. Like, to me, why did they not do a longer form storytelling here? Like, should just like the comics are like the storyboards they could have worked off of, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just, it's almost like just like the Zack Snyder movie, completely unnecessary. Okay. I'll stop ranting. Okay. What else? Negatives of 2024. Christian, anything else you want to call out here?
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Well, let's talk about the Sonyverse. It's
We're going
they've got a
there. We're
three.
going
Yeah.
there.
I'm they put out 3 movies this year.
Mhm.
I only really saw one. It was Madam Web, and it was bad. It was really bad. It was Morbius level bad.
It was bad.
And let like I will say, positive is that I think Sydney Sweeney is actually a really great actor. This kind of was almost in a way her big break. So in a weird way, this kind of terrible movie kind of, although she was already kind of big from that show with
Yeah.
Zendaya,
Yeah. Euphoria.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
So, but this is kind of her silver screen debut that kind of blew, made her blow, had her blow up a bit. Even though the movie is hot garbage, I will say there's some pretty funny lines in here. In a way, it's kind of funny bad in a lot of different places because it's so awkward and there's not a lot of like action in the movie. It just feels like something was just kind of thrown together because they have to for a character that's never really had a comic book. Um, and so I know, but I really don't like any of these Sony movies, though. That was the only one I got around to. Craven just came out, and apparently it's just as bad. It's doing terrible at the box office and reviewing horribly on Rotten Tomatoes. Surprise, surprise. And I heard Venom: The Last Dance is better, but take that as you will. But I will also say this might coming maybe finishing off these movies might be a fun episode of the podcast.
Yeah. That's a good
Maybe if
point.
you guys are up for, a little bit of, you know, crap.
You, I will say, yeah, that I mean, yes, Madam Web was bad, but the fun, I don't know if this is you can even say it's a fun thing. Big enjoyment I got out of Madam Web was the press tour.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was fun. Like seeing Dakota Johnson like having no clue about the movie that she was in or the MCU or the Marvel comics and just being like, yeah, I don't know. And all this stuff. I think that was gold and entertaining. Like that press tour, I was more interested in that and than the movie. I don't
I
know if that says anything.
It's a
no,
bad
I
sign.
agree. And it kind of adds to the awkwardness and kind of just like funny bad of the movie as well.
hmm
Just what surrounds it. It's like it exists to be a meme.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Porfirio, any other negative picks for the year?
Yeah. I don't think this one I hated, but was kind of dumb and annoying is Henry, you brought it up earlier. Um Godzilla X King Kong,
Mm-hmm.
it F you guys I think both know I wasn't a fan of the first one, Godzilla versus King Kong, and this time somehow made me even like the franchise of those two even less, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like this movie was just so ridiculous and over the top and stupid. I was like, what the hell? Kong's family is alive and this like Kong ends up getting like an Infinity Gauntlet or something, like it was just so ridiculous and over the top. I think the director and the studio knew that they were just gonna have fun with it, and you know, it just came off Godzilla just came off its first Academy Award, and like any actor, you have some really great movies, like minus one, but then you have some really bad movies that you probably just may have a paycheck for, and that's showbiz. That's Godzilla.
I love how you just compared Godzilla to being a real actor. Godzilla is real. He's a real person.
He is. We did a whole episode on him.
Yeah.
That versatility.
I mean, it is interesting. I think the fact that Godzilla minus one was so good did kind of open our eyes, right? So when you see a movie like Godzilla versus Kong, or Godzilla X Kong, sorry, it almost like highlights how shitty it is, right? Because we've just seen how good a Godzilla movie can be, right? So to see a schlocky, low rent monster movie like this, yeah, it just it's all its flaws are kind of highlighted, right? Yeah, so oh well.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I didn't hate this movie, but to be honest, I can't really disagree with anything that
Mhm.
you just said.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I didn't hate it, but yeah, it's just it's not a great one, you
It's
know.
almost a little too much of a turn your brain off kind of movie,
Yeah,
you know?
Oh
right.
yeah. hmm
Yeah.
I probably would have enjoyed it if I had like a few drinks in me, to be like, this is stupid and fun, but I'm here watching it like hot frosty.
There you go.
That may have been how I enjoyed it. Maybe. I don't remember.
All right. Next up, Joker 2. Let's talk about this one. We did a full episode where we went in depth on this movie. But I think it's worth repeating that this one was a big fat dud. Very disappointing. We all enjoyed the first Joker movie, and to hear that Joaquin Phoenix was coming back to play Joker, Todd Phillips was back in the director's chair, and Lady Gaga would be playing Harley Quinn. How could it miss? You know? And then we all sat down to watch this movie. We all watched it in theaters, right? Um, and it was pretty unwatchable. This is a tough one to watch. This is a grind, you know. I mean, I was thinking about like why do we go see movies, right? It's to escape, to be entertained, and like I feel like all the reasons we go to see movies, like this movie didn't have any of that. It was a slog. It was like homework. It was like out of obligation. I'm watching this movie, and it was no fun. This was not a fun movie. Um, so yeah. Again, we spoke our minds on this on our previous episode, so no need to beat a dead horse. But it does need to be said that Joker 2 is bad. It's just plain bad, and it is one of the worst movies of the year. Any thoughts you guys want to chime in there, or should we just move on?
Hmm. Yeah, the movie kind of, never seen a movie, like, hate its audience so much as this movie,
Yeah.
but it doesn't even have any fun with it. And that's all I'll say. I really don't like this movie either.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the longer time goes on, the more I dislike it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we said it before, it is an interesting movie. There's no movie quite like it. And it is pretty fascinating what you're alluding to, Christian, that it's a big middle finger to the audience, right? It's like a big fuck you. It's just odd. It's just an odd thing, right? So we'll leave it at that. What else we got? Low lights. Like with the low lights, we don't necessarily have to list our least favorite movie or show of the year. If you have a definitive worst, we could certainly call it out if you like. Not necessary, but maybe we'll throw that out there. Does anyone have a definitive worst movie of 2024 or worst TV show of 2024?
Um, I'll do I think I'll start with something that I think was, I think the worst TV show. And this is just something that was just Usually when we talk about shows, it's usually about something we finished, but occasionally there comes a show that is just so bad, you're just like, "I can't do it. I cannot finish this. This is this," and that the show's Rick and Morty, the anime. I think it's so incoherent, so poorly animated, it's hard to watch. It's not it is none of the charm of Rick and Morty. There's no humor. It's not really funny. It has you see some of the bits from Rick and Morty. Of course, Rick and Morty in summer and uh some of the aliens that you've seen in other episodes are there, but it focuses on on these new characters a lot who you aren't all that funny or charming or humorous. And the pace is way different. It doesn't feel anything like the show. And so I think I got 2 episodes in, maybe, before I'm like, "Alright, I'm done. I can't handle any more of that." So I think that will be my worst show of the year.
Ouch. Um, yeah, I can comment on this too. Um, a similar thing where I actually was planning on watching the full season, but I could not get past episode 1. I was one and done. I watched the first episode and was like, "What the fuck is this? I can't do it." And you're completely right, Christian. It has none of the charm of the original series. And yeah, I know you're a big Rick and Morty fan, Christian. I'm a fan of Rick and Morty. So coming from two Rick and Morty fans, we can't not recommend this one highly enough. Uh, yeah. Oh, the only thing else I would add to what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, 100%, Christian. But the only other thing I would add is that it looks like shit too. Like it doesn't make any sense, and I don't care about the story. I don't care about the characters, but it looks like garbage also. So that maybe is the most shocking thing because with anime, a fun part of anime is the look of it. It looks cool generally, um, and I was looking forward to this. Like anime adaptations are kind of the hot thing now, and I couldn't have been more happy with what they did with Star Wars Visions, the Star Wars anime adaptation, and I couldn't be happier with Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, the Scott Pilgrim anime adaptation. So I was like, oh, let's keep it rolling. Another fandom I dig is getting the anime treatment. Let's go. And this one is a big dud, and yeah, definitely one of the worst of the year for me also. I don't think I have a definitive worst show of the year. And kind of like what you're saying, Christian, hate to like throw all this hate to a show that we didn't watch beginning to end to give a full assessment, but yeah, it is telling that neither of us could get through it. Definitely one of the worst of the year. Okay. Any other call outs? Definitive worst of the year? No? Okay, I got one. So I was one of very few people who saw the Borderlands movie. So this one came and went in theaters quickly. I did see it in theaters. Thankfully, I paid all of $5 thanks to a coupon for video provided to me. And at $5, it was not worth $5. It was not worth even the $5 cheapy ticket I got. It's bad. It's really, really fucking bad. It's indescribably bad. Yeah, yep. So And like it's kind of shocking because Kate Blanchett is the star of this movie, and she's a great actress. And not only is she a great actress, but she chooses generally great projects. She's tends to be in good movies, and she's great in them. So imagine my surprise seeing her in this complete garbage, trash fire of a movie. um, yeah, it's shockingly bad. Um, I mean, you would think at the very least you might get some good action from this one, but you don't even get that. Well, I will say there's like one action set piece in the middle of the movie that is somewhat entertaining. And that's like maybe the only thing worth watching in the whole movie. And I've heard that this was a troubled production. Eli Roth didn't really get to make the movie he wanted to make. I think he wanted to make a rated R movie, and it was not rated R. And I think he dropped out of production before it completed. Um, so yeah, I guess if you really dig into the backstory, I think the quality of the movie kind of makes more sense. But bottom line is it's very bad. And I guess I'll leave it at that. And maybe the only bright spot is that when the movie came out, not only did I get this like coupon from Porfirio to pay only $5 for the movie ticket, but there was like a big sale on Borderlands games. Yeah. So I bought Borderlands 3 for only $7 on my Xbox. And that is a really good game. My son Simon and I did play that one to the end. We did it in a couch co-op mode, and we had a blast playing Borderlands 3 on our Xbox. So, and like I said, that was a result of the movie coming out. They were promoting the movie, so there's a sale on the game. So, I guess that was a silver lining, I guess I could say. But bottom line, yeah, the movie is god awful. Stay away from it. I don't care if you're a big Borderlands fan, you're not a Borderlands fan, you're any person. I don't care who you are, just stay away. Please stay away from this movie. Kate Blanchett fans, like, yeah, I'm a Kate Blanchett fan. That's kind of why I wanted to see this movie. I'm like, oh, Kate Blanchett is gonna do like an action fandom type movie. Like, that's awesome. Like, we don't really see that. She did Hela in Ragnarok, but other than that, we haven't really seen that from her, right? And she was great in that. But yeah, please stay away from this one. All right. Any other call outs? Doesn't have to be the worst. Just bad TV, bad movies. Anything else?
I think if I was one more, I think one thing that was another big disappointment. It's probably Uzumaki uh,
Mm.
on Adult Swim because the first episode really great. I think Junji Ito has quite a style, and I thought the first episode was like really cool, really creepy. The way it had the spirals, the animation was really good, and it captured his style so well. But for some reason, episodes 2, 3, and 4 kind of dropped off a cliff. I'm really not sure what happened to the point where even I think the director of the series actually had to make a statement saying like, "Hey, we're sorry, this is a very troubled production," and it was either put these out as is now or the show wouldn't be made at all. But this is a production, but it's pretty strange. It's a production for a long time, only 4 episodes, and done by a very prestigious studio. I think it was Studio Madhouse that did it. Um, it's been around for a long time, so like, yeah, you kind of wonder like what happened. And as a fan of Junji Ito, some of the only horror I'll I'll see Yeah, big disappointment. Not really the worst though. Not like I think Junji Ito's story still holds up, and it's still like the uncanniness does kind of help it in some way in some parts, but oof.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this one up. Um, I watched this limited series as well, and I didn't hate it. I actually kind of liked it. But I do see where you're coming from. And interestingly, I have a similar sentiment with this one as that Watchmen animation. Like, it seems kind of unnecessary. Like, you're saying, Christian, it's only 4 episodes, and they're short episodes. They're like what, 30 minutes or so?
Mhm.
So we're talking about a 4 episode limited series of short episodes. So it comes out to what, like about 2 hours? Like just about the running time of the Uzumaki movie, right? So it again, it's sort of like why? Like what's the benefit here? It seems kind of unnecessary, right? Um Now with this show, it is in black and white, which the movie wasn't. And I think there are things you can do in animation that you can't do in live action. And there's some really surreal shit in the show, right? So I found some benefit there, and probably why I ultimately did enjoy it. Um, but it's kind of weird. It's like when you add up the minutes, it comes out to like a movie length runtime. So why didn't they just have it as like a movie, an animated movie? I don't know. So it just kind of boggles the mind. And I think we can agree that if you want to see Uzumaki um, adapted, go watch the live action movie, right? That's superior to this odd crack at a limited animation series. Yeah.
Yeah, go watch the movie.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I got a kind of weird curveball. But it is technically 2024 television. But how about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul?
Oh my god.
So I just want to call this out because it's like possibly the future of TV/entertainment, right? It's live events on streaming services, and it's sports technically, but it's kind of more gimmicky entertainment, right? You got this really old boxer in Mike Tyson, and you have this, social media influencer in Jake Paul. So it's like barely sports, right? Um, and what did we get? We got a really shitty boxing match, and it had tons of technical glitches, right? So, it just popped in my head as being some of the worst TV of the year because it was crazy hyped. Um, I got caught up in the hype. Like I signed up for Netflix to watch this piece of shit fight. Um, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is terrible, and it's glitching out all the time. I had to like hop out and hop back in. It was blurry all at times, and just a really bad experience, and it left a real bad taste in my mouth, and it made me wonder, like, is this where we're headed? Is this the future of entertainment? And it just made me kind of sad. So I quickly went back to my old standbys, superhero movies and anime and stuff, and like, fuck this shit, um it just needed to be said. Yeah, when this happened, it happened not long ago. There's a lot of hype. A lot of people were talking about it, and it needs to be stated that it was some of the worst TV of the year, no question.
On on kind of a related note, because you were bringing up so many points, Henry.
Hmm.
Um, next month on January 6th, um, WWE is going to be showing on Netflix Live.
Ah, there's
Something.
yeah, there's that. There's like NFL is going to be on Netflix as well, I
Is
believe,
it?
right? I think I heard something about that. So watch out, it's coming. Hopefully they work out the technical side of it at least.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please, please, please. I mean, that was a bad experience, but it does speak to the interest in the event. I think that's what caused it, right? Caused it, right? There were so many people watching it that
Hmm.
the servers just crapped out at times. So there is that. But it was just kind of a bad like statement on the state of affairs of entertainment in the world right now, right? So yeah.
Can we like, since we're speaking on other TV stuff, can we say like the debates were bad TV this year?
Sure. Yeah. Along the same
Uh,
lines, right?
those are hard to watch.
Yeah.
Especially the Biden and Trump one.
Oh my
Mm,
God. It's rough. It's rough.
Thought I worked through those.
Never mind. Let's not bring that up. We're
Yeah.
we're a comics podcast, not
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, a lot
Okay.
of bad TV all around.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. Okay. Yeah, so we can get into random thoughts, just open-ended conversation. If there are any shows or movies we didn't cover you want to bring up, now's a good time. I thought I might mention that, as usual, um, there are there is content that we're not getting to, right? For example, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out this weekend. So right now, actually, I guess it came out tonight, technically, but it's sort of like too late for us to cover, as is Marvel's What If Season 3. So I don't think either of those will make our worst or best of 2024, but just calling that out. We weren't able to get to those. What else? Skeleton Crew came out, but that doesn't actually finish until 2025. So if we do have thoughts on that, maybe we'll save it for next year. Um,
And watch it. It's really good so far.
oh, okay. There's a
Best
recommendation.
recommendation.
Right on.
So is Creature Commandos on Max.
Mm,
It's still
there,
going on, but
there you go.
another great recommendation from the Gunverse, the Gun DC verse.
There you go. The Gunverse is the talk of the town right now. Yeah. So we'll see. Superman will definitely be talked about next year.
Hmm.
We'll cover it. Um, let's see.
One movie I wished I watched that
Go
I
ahead.
wish I could give a review since it's been talk recently is Wicked.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch on Saturday. Finally,
Mm,
finally.
cool, cool.
But I guess I'll have to put up my thoughts for another time. But even though it's been out for a month, but that's also been another movie that's been like talked about and played,
Yeah,
everywhere.
for sure. In that vein, there's a movie called Flow that I really want to see. I have not seen it yet. It's an animated movie about a cat, right up my alley. Um,
I
but I
see what you
hear,
there.
yeah,
Cat up your alley.
hey, there you go.
Ah.
Yes, haha, not even intentional. But I hear it's great, and I really want to see it. Um, and I will see it. Just didn't get a chance to. Um, and yeah, that's on my watch list. Um, yeah, I didn't get to a lot of stuff this year. Um, I didn't see Cobra Kai season 6 that came out. nor did I uh see Batman Cape Crusader season 1. You guys have any thoughts on Cape Crusader or Cobra Kai? We haven't
Oh yeah,
covered
I do.
those. Go ahead.
'Cause I just finished part two's out, so Cobra Kai is not finished. I think there's one more part after this.
Hmm.
Um, and Cobra Kai is a lot of fun. I would love to do a full podcast on it. I think once it finishes and we all watch it. But like this season, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite season, but the fights are really good. They do keep upping the choreography on it, and they're a lot of fun to watch. And you can't, even if it's not as good, you can't not watch and like smile. It's like one of the most easily bingeable shows I think I've seen. It's like watching like live action anime with how like over the top and ridiculous it kind of gets. But you're kind of invested. You're kind of in it. You want to see these dojos, go at it.
Yeah,
And
echoing with yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
no, keep going.
No, echoing what you're saying. Like it's a show that does not take itself seriously. You don't have to overthink it. You just watch it for the fight and drama and stuff, and you could just kind of have it in the background, not pay attention. Then when you go back to it, you could kind of like guess, fill in the blanks of what happens. It's just so, like Christian said, so over the top and dramatic, and it's so ridiculous. But the fight scenes, like, yeah, they're really great. The choreography, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other one was Batman
Batman.
Cape Crusader. That was a nice throwback to the Batman the Animated Series back from the 90s. Bruce Timm is back. Kind of almost in a similar vein to X-Men 97. I won't say it's nearly as good as X-Men 97. It's a nice start. I think they do a few different things with it, which some work better than others, but I did overall enjoy Batman Cape Crusader. And I'm interested to see kind of where they take it.
Hmm.
So I think it was a solid show. I wouldn't say it's a favorite of the year.
Is it getting a season 2? Do you know?
I don't know. It might be. It feels like it's set up a bit for to be like this longer running show.
It does, yeah.
Hmm. I do see like a placeholder for season 2 on IMDb, so not sure what that means, but
Yeah,
sounds like a maybe.
but I will say like one of the new things I did really like that I thought was like very different in its own way. I actually quite like the Harley Quinn episode that they had.
Oh, hmm. That was good.
All right. We mentioned the Sonyverse. I didn't see any of the Sonyverse movies this year. I do have a bit of a morbid curiosity, so I'd be down to do an episode next year covering maybe all the Sonyverse movies. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, it's over apparently.
Right now that it is over, we could do a bit of you know, a recap and have some fun with it. Maybe get drunk or high and watch all of these
And
pieces of shit.
and then figure out which one's our favorite out of the bunch.
And we could rank them. Yeah, we could do a ranking, like bottom of the barrel type stuff.
What's the least bad? Not really a
What's the
Which one,
least bad? Yeah.
which one's the least bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe once Craven hits streaming, because I don't think any of us want to
Yeah.
pay to see that movie.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, but there's 2024, yeah. So why don't we get on to comics? With comics, like we usually do, um, this can be any comic you read in 2024. It doesn't have to be a 2024 release. Yeah. Do we have any recommendations? Any good comics you read this year?
One
Uh, oh yeah, go for it.
one that I really liked this year that I just finished was Black Panther versus Predator. But like I said, both of you know I like the Alien and Predator franchise, and I love these crossovers of Marvel characters with those two characters. Um, and that Black Panther and Predator comics was really great. Um, it's about like this Predator clan that wants to take vibranium, and because it's a Marvel comics, I kind of expected it not to be like PG friendly, kid friendly, but it is not that. People die, there's blood, there's gore, and I was surprised and I liked it.
Nice.
So I enjoyed this comic series and I do recommend it.
Nice. And that one is a 2024 release, correct?
Hmm.
Cool, cool, cool.
Nice. Um, I got two I want to talk about real quick. One is a 2024 release, and one is a backlog. I'll start with the backlog first. Um, After we finished our Scott Pilgrim episode, I decided to go back and read through all of Scott Pilgrim. I got the full collection, and I ended up really enjoying it. Um, I thought it's cool how you have basically the same story told three different ways, and they're all fairly different. And one thing I like the comic about a lot more is that it kind of feels like it fills out the side characters the
Yeah.
most, especially Scott and like his friends and his band. I thought that was really well done, and I really enjoyed the second half, the part that feels very much when it's the comics doing its own thing that isn't covered in the movie or in Takes Off. So I really like Scott Pilgrim the comic. That was a really great backlog pick that we did from our Scott Pilgrim episode.
Right
Um,
on.
and the 2024 one that I got, this had a lot of hype, and it took me forever to pick these up because we were out of stock. So I picked these up only a couple weeks ago, and that would be the Absolute DC. I got Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. And I really enjoy these. I'm probably going to pick up I only picked up issue 1, but I will go back to pick up issue 2. I think some of them are already sold out though. And they definitely dial up the edge factor quite a bit on these, but they're so well done. I think my favorite, the 3 that I've read is Absolute Wonder Woman. I gotta
Hmm.
say, Absolute Wonder Woman, like Wonder Woman with a giant Buster Sword, is probably my favorite Wonder Woman design. I think she just oozes badass. The entire comic oozes badass, and all 3 kind of do in a way. So if you can find them, because like I said, they're sold out, so they might be only available to get in trade whenever that comes out. But uh, so far, I'm digging those.
Awesome. Love the great picks. I do have one. It's a backlog recommendation, and it's Akira. So I've been meaning to read the Akira manga for quite some time, but as you guys know, I read comics digitally through Comixology, and Akira is not available digitally. Or so I thought. I discovered that there is an awesome website. I'm going to shout them out, akiramanga.com, that has the full run of Akira for free. Imagine that. So highly recommend checking that out. It is ad supported, so FYI there. But it's all there and it looks great. I should note that this is the US release of these comics, specifically the 1988 Marvel imprint of the series that's in color. I should definitely state that because I know colorizing manga is considered sacrilege by some. It's
Is it
all in
really?
color. Yeah. I mean,
Oh wow.
it's generally not done. Usually it's like if it's done, it's usually like the first few pages of each issue, but it's generally not done. But in 1988, Marvel gave this series the full color treatment. So it's by the original creator, Katsuhiro Otomo, the legendary manga and anime creator, but it is colorized by Steve Oliff. And this is kind of interesting. He did this coloring through a computer, and it was like something like the first time that colorized a comic was colorized through a computer, something along those lines. Um, but I gotta say, the result is really cool. It looks great. It looks really cool. And I think the aesthetic is very faithful to the anime film. It looks like the anime film, like just right on the page. From the screen to the page, the aesthetic is very similar. And we've been talking a lot about like how certain adaptations seem unnecessary. We mentioned Watchmen, we mentioned Uzumaki, and it's like, okay, why are these animated adaptations like the same runtime as the previous live action iteration, right? Seems unnecessary. Well, here's a case where uh, the two different versions are very different in length, right? So with the Akira movie, it's like near 2 hours. Um, but with the manga, it's 38 issues. I know, Christian, you've been reading this series as well. And it is a fast read, but it's not that fast. You're not finishing the whole run in 2 hours, right? So it is longer form storytelling. You get to know the characters more. You find out backstory, and there's more plot details. So the manga is a great complement to the film. And it's actually really awesome to watch the film after reading the manga, like I did recently. And it really brought to light a lot of plot points and characters that I like was not privy to previously. So it's a very worthwhile experience. Additionally, there's a different vibe, I think. Like with the film, I think there's a certain art house quality to it where um a lot of what you see is unconventional and surreal and kind of purposefully confusing. The manga is different, I think. The manga is more straightforward. It's to me, it's just kind of a straightforward action adventure story. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I just can't get over like how worthwhile it is to check out this manga. And in addition to all of that, uh, a lot of the sub characters are highlighted more, particularly the female lead Kay. She plays a much bigger role in the manga, and there's this character, this cult leader, Lady Miyako, who is like barely in the movie. She is quite prominent in the manga also. So again, shout out akiramanga.com. This is a very, very entertaining read. I highly recommend.
Yeah. Um, I still haven't finished Akira, but I do have to second everything that you've said. It is amazing. Definitely some of the most detailed artwork that I've seen. I think Katsuhiro Otomo has done a fantastic job with the manga, and of course he directed the movie. So even though they're so different, there's still like a very singular vision through the two. So if you're a fan of the movie, it is worth far and away worth your time to read the manga. Um, I have 2 more volumes that I have to finish, so hopefully get on that soon.
Right on. Yeah, I like how we finished here, where we both brought up worthy comics versions, right? So with Scott Pilgrim and Akira, like there is so much benefit you get here. And it's not like, oh, you can watch the movie and that's good enough, right? Oh, there's so much more here. And yeah, I definitely second the sentiment on Scott Pilgrim. It really expands the world. I mean, it's a lot like what we've been talking about with Akira, where you really expand upon the world. You get to know the characters more and the backstories and all that good stuff. So, deepening the fandom, if you will. So we could go on and on here, but why don't we wrap things up? This is Farewell from Henry, Porfirio, and Christian.